My light dollar store cigarette lighter. Yeah, this is my gimmick, the candles. Some people have different whatever. So I do candles, pretty cheap. Dollar store, 10 for $1. This is a vampire story. Story number 34. Starts out in central New York, ends in England, northeastern England, on the seaside. This happened around 1999, 2000-ish. And I don't believe in vampires. But then again, I don't really know what to make of this story. I'll say what I think it was when I finish the story. So, this is an odd one. I was home in my apartment in central New York, Cortland at the time. Kind of a small city. I was going to college there then. And I was living alone in an apartment. And I was on my computer one Friday evening. And I knew it was a Friday evening because the people I contacted in the chat room, they're just getting out of work. It was their Friday night. So I remember that. I was in a chat room, like a Yahoo chat room. If you think back of chat rooms like 20 years ago, if you did that sort of thing, they were kind of novel. It was kind of pretty cool. There wasn't a lot of smut yet, or hackers or scammers or bots. It was all pretty kind of novel, and you actually could meet people from anywhere in the world if they had an internet and a computer. Dial-up internet was the thing then. And just have some innocent chat, just trying to, it was kind of cool. So, and it all went south pretty quick with people like they do, people trying to scam you or hack your computer through it, or sex stuff, porn, all that. But at this time, it was pretty innocent to my remembrance. It definitely was in my use of it. All right, so I'm chatting. I'm in my apartment alone, and I'm like, you'd be the computer screen, we're vantage point, and chatting away all night. And I had this premonition. I just kind of sat back, and it hit me. Somebody's going to say something to the effect, take me to your leader, Earthling. Like, we're from outer space. Take me to your leader, Earthling. Something like that. And just then, bing, this text box comes up where somebody IM'd me, instant messaged me, picked me out of the group. There's all kinds of people in this chat room, just from all over the place. And it said, we are Borg, prepare to be assimilated. And again, we are Borg, prepare to be assimilated. And that was taken off of Star Trek movies of the time. And the Borg were, I never was really a Star Trek fan, but I knew the Borg were some outer space race of androids or something. And they were kind of troublesome, but in fact, my premonition that somebody was going to claim they're from outer space with some kind of message to me happened. We are Borg, prepared to be assimilated. So I'm like, wow, right? I was kind of amused, and I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool the way that it doesn't happen all the time. So I took up a chat, and come to find out, I was chatting with 3 young women in northeastern England in a town called Middlesbrough. And they were all about 30, and I wasn't a whole lot older than that then. And we kind of took up a friendship online. We kind of kept up with each other. They were all they worked together as secretaries for a firm. And so we kept up with each other, day in, day out. We'd see we're online, and we'd text each other, how'd your day go, things like that. Nothing romantic, nothing sleazy or anything like that. Just friendship. Well, back then in the 90s, I liked to travel to Britain and or Europe once a year. Just vacation. Go over there and on my own, solo, usually. hike around, drink some beer, check out the restaurants, castles, whatever there is to see, you know. And I was planning to go to Britain that year, but I didn't really know anybody there. So I asked these women, hey, how about if we meet up? I said I was planning to make a trip to your country this summer. And they said, sure, that would be great. You know, I already knew two of them were involved. There was definitely nothing romantic in the works here. And I sent them a picture of me, so they knew what I looked like. And well, I saved up my money. I really didn't have a lot of money, but I put it together and got a good deal on the flight and everything. And the day came to leave, and I was only going to go there for like a 4-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Really just kind of in and out. So I remember I packed up 2 big army duffel bags, one with my clothes and stuff in it, and the other one I put some gifts, to include 2 cases of American beer at the time, because they like beer and boyfriends like beer, I gathered, chatting with them. So what the heck, huh? So this is what I did Friday morning, very early. And I got to give myself credit for getting all this done. I left Cortland, New York on a Greyhound bus. 3.5-hour drive southeast to New York City, to Grand Central Station in Manhattan at the time. From Grand Central Station, I took a shuttle bus, another hour drive to JFK International Airport. From JFK, I flew to London, and in London went through the customs, and I remember the guys there, the British customs, got a kick out of the beer. I brought beer, and I had to declare it. They thought it was pretty cool, regular bloke, you know. And from London, I took a small flight to Manchester, England. From Manchester, I got on a train and went northeast, up north past York and Leeds, that area, all the way up to Middlesbrough, England, which is on the seacoast. And from the train station in Middlesbrough, I took a cab to my hotel. Now, I want to lay a couple of things out here. I did not look up anything other than Middlesbrough. I didn't do a lot of research on the area. I didn't have any plans other than just hang out in Middlesbrough, see what there's to do there with the company that I met. And what else was there? Well, the hotel. I asked the girls to recommend a hotel for me. What I'm looking for in a hotel. It has a bar and a restaurant and rooms. And they told me to go to the Stockton-on-Tees. And that's what I did. I reserved rooms there from Friday to Monday, I believe. And went to the Stockton-on-Tees hotel. And sure enough, there was a bar and they had food and tables. And they had a band playing. Wasn't up for that. It was about, with the time difference, it was about 8 o'clock, something like that, by the time I got there on their time. And I was beat, but I was younger then. So I had a couple of beers, and I think I had a bite to eat, and I went up to my room, which was a dingy room, honestly. I won't get into that. The food was good and everything, but the room, it was a room. Plopped down on the bed, picked the phone up. I had their phone number, dialed it. One of them answers the phone, and I said, I'm here. And they flipped out. Oh, my God. We didn't think you'd actually do it. I said, well, I did. I'm here. What's up? And they said, okay, let's meet up at a club tonight. And they said, meet us at, and I remember the name of the place. It was called the Empire, and it still is a club in Middlesbrough. And I think it used to be a government building back during the Victorian years when the British Empire, the sun never set on it. So they called this club the Empire. All right, so I go to the club to meet up. I took a cab, and I remember they had a Geordie accent there. This place is just a little bit south of Newcastle and Scotland, actually. And they had a Geordie accent. I remember they had a hard time understanding me. And kind of the really thickest accent I ever heard. So I get to the Empire, the club, and it is jamming. I mean, I was really impressed coming from small town New York, not New York City by a long shot. This place was 3 floors of people throwing down music, people spilling out in the streets, just partying, having a good time. It looked like I was pretty impressed. Well, they knew what I looked like, but I didn't know what they looked like, except one of them said that she looked like, famous movie star, model of the time. I won't say the name. What the heck? She said she looked like Cleopatra, not a movie star. Cleopatra, that's right. All right, I'm looking for Cleopatra in this bar. Maybe 1,000 people jammed into it on 3 floors. Or what seemed to me 3 floors, as I remember. Maybe it was only 2. Well, I'm looking around. And I'm at the bar. I have a drink. And the place is packed. And I look down the bar and I see somebody kind of looks like that. Maybe, you know. Pretty nice looking woman. She seems to be looking my way, smiling. So I put a little bit of the Tim vibe out, you know. Probably geeked her out completely. And next thing you know, somebody taps me on the shoulder. And it was them. It wasn't that woman at the other end of the bar. I'm getting to the vampire story here, all right? Pretty quick. So they're nice people. I like them. 3 women, 2 blondes, and then there was Cleopatra. And we had a good time. We hung out there for a while. Really had a really good time just visiting. And then we went to another club in Middlesbrough, which I was equally impressed with. I really, really liked their idea of clubs in Britain. Then, I haven't been there since. So the night came to a close, and I wasn't loaded or anything, you know. I really wasn't out that long. And I went back, took a cab back to my hotel room, and plopped down, went to sleep on my bed. Here's where it gets kind of strange. I woke up in the morning in this hotel room, and it was dim. It was lit up in the room because it was like 7 a.m. when I woke up, and it was summertime. But there were really heavy drapes on the windows that really kept most of the light out of the room, but not all of it. I woke up, and this bat, like wingspan, black bat, like wingspan like this, flapping around in my face, right? Just flapping, like trying to land on me. And I'm swinging at it, and it just was persistent. It was trying to get on me. A bat, big one, black one. And I'm swinging at it, trying to keep it off of me. I even got up out of bed, and I'm on my knees on my bed in the middle of it, swinging at it now. And every time I'd swing, it would duck and dart and dodge. And I swung, and it came in, and it landed on me right there. It just, the whole thing landed on me, leathery bat, right on my neck, like to bite me there, landed. And as soon as it landed on me, and that's how I don't know, supposedly bit, it landed, I went out like a light. I mean, I was asleep before my head hit the pillow. It was like on the movies where somebody gets shot with a tranquilizer dart, and they're just out. As soon as I swing at this bat, and it comes in, it lands on me, I'm just like, fell back on my pillow. Next thing I know, the phone's ringing. It was an hour later, because I looked at the clock, and I picked the phone up, and I'm thinking like, what the, kind of weirded out. Pick it up, it's one of the women, and she tells me, now I want you to know, I'd never said a word to her or anybody about this bat thing, And she says to me, my brother's coming up from Leeds, I think it was Leeds, and he's got a brand new car, and he'd like to take you around, show you the sights. Are you going to be up for that? And I said, oh yeah, definitely. They said, well, good, we'll be there in an hour, be ready. I said, all right, I'll be ready. Click. Now I get up and I go in the bathroom, and I'm like looking in the mirror, I don't see any bite marks, right? I have no idea what that was about. And so I had no marks of any sort on my neck. Well, again, they showed up in an hour. And, we went, he had a brand new BMW, as I recall, nice car. I said nothing to them about this bat. And I knew nothing about their plans for that day. And I knew nothing about really the area around the place. It was a complete blank. And, well, we're going to show you the moors. And we drove through the moors. I've heard of moors, Moors. And never knew what they were. I always thought it was like some creepy looking woods or something. But actually, it's like swampy grasslands, the English moors, as I recall. And then we went to, they're going to show me a place, a town on the seacoast called Whitby, England. And I'm going to flash some internet pictures. I took a load of pictures while I was there, but I don't know where they're at. And I want to get through these stories. So they said, we're going to go to Whitby next. And that's where we wound up at. And I never even heard of Whitby, England. I want you to know that. And I never told them a word about the bat thing that morning. So we went to Whitby, and you see in the pictures, I'm probably flashing them up now as I'm talking. Nice little, really historic, very beautiful little town. Claim to fame was Captain Cook was born there. And very long-standing maritime history there. Well, we walked around this town a while, and I was really impressed. It was a beautiful day out. Walked along the beach, and we went and got some fish and chips, I recall. And I remember asking the waitress, "Is this real cod?" And she pointed at the ocean and said, "Well, yeah. Like, where do you think it is, And I thought that was funny. All right, here's where the other part of the story comes in. We went to walking in the streets in Whitby, and not far from where we had the fish and chips, there are these really old ancient stone steps that went up to the top of a cliff that overlooks the sea there. And I'm going to put more pictures on. And they told me there was something like 500 steps, and it was quite a hike up there. And they told me that's worth seeing. And I had every intention of going up there. But they said, "Hey, we're from here. We've been up there 100 times. We're just going to wait at the bottom." And her brother was there, all about 30, thereabouts. I forgot their ages. And so I went up there, and there was nothing up there but an old ruins. And I'll put the photos of that up from the internet, though I took dozens of pictures, but I can't find them. They're packed away somewhere. It's old ruins, an old graveyard, and the story has it that it was like a 4th century, something like that. One of the earliest bastions of Christianity in Britain was there. And old monastery ruins and such, and beautiful views you can see all the way around, as you can tell by the pictures. So I wandered around up there a while. There's nobody else up there, no other people, it's just me. And I came down. And when I got down, they were down waiting by the bottom of this long flight of stone stairs. And that's when the guy told me, her brother told me, that Bram Stoker placed Dracula up there in his novel, Dracula. That's right. That's when I learned that Bram Stoker, that's where Dracula was placed, the vampire. And I'm thinking about what happened that morning with the bat. And I told them about this bat thing, and they didn't seem surprised. But they did laugh briefly, and they called me Batman. Got a good laugh off it. So that's that. And we walked out. I remember the seagulls crapped all over, crapped on her brother's nice jacket. He was wearing a 3-piece, like they dressed with jacket, slacks and everything. He got spattered on his jacket. And his sister laughed at. And then right as she was laughing about him getting crapped on by a seagull, one dropped a big load right down her cleavage. And I remember she goes, "Oh, he shot me cleavage." I just remembered things you remember, So I hung out there eventually, when I wound up staying 5 days, I was having just that good of a time. And then I went home. And that's pretty much the story. Now, let me ask you, what do you make of this? No, I wasn't doing drugs and really wasn't drinking a whole lot. Just beers, some beers at night when we go out. A vampire bat in my hotel room that they told me to go to lands, finally succeeds in landing on me. I'm out. As soon as it did, I just put my arms out like that and fell back. And then later that day, they take me to that place, and I wind up going up top of there, where Dracula was placed in the novel. Coincidence? I know. I remember that bat thing. I was wide awake. I mean, I was getting up out of bed trying to fight this thing because it was really trying to land on me. So, like I said, I don't believe in vampires, but what was that all about? The only thing I can come up with, and I don't know that this is right or not, is that in some of my paranormal stories, some to be told yet, it clearly indicated to me that spirits can tell the future. And I think that's something new that I was going to wind up on top of that hill at that old monastery where Dracula was put, and had that, whatever that was, with the bat, maybe like a prank. I felt like I was pranked, because I don't think I'm a vampire. I think I know, but I think it seems to me that I was pranked. Just kind of paranormal prank. So that's story number 34, and not really leaving anything out pertinent. Kept up friends with them for a while. Went its way. Good people. Really good people. Like to have a good time. That's for sure. That's it. Story 34. 35. I'm going to move on and get these done. All right. Stay well. Ow! That didn't really hurt. It doesn't fall over. Take care. God bless.